On a day when Christy's dad couldn't fetch him from school because of a work meeting, he found himself among his classmates on the school bus ride home. Yet, the situation quickly shifted when the bus driver misjudged the bus stop announcements. Christy wasn't accustomed to taking the school bus, but circumstances led him to board it one day when both his parents were occupied with work. Thankfully, his teacher provided him with guidance on the necessary steps before hopping on. "All right, sweetheart, so the bus driver is going to call out the name of the bus stops. You have to be alert and wait for him to call your stop. Okay?" Mrs. Patterson told him before he boarded the bus. Christy was confident he could make it, as he always saw himself as an independent child. "Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. I'll be alert and wait for him to call out Pflugerville," Christy said, giving his teacher a hug before boarding the bus. "Good boy," his teacher said, waving to him before the bus driver closed the door. Christy knew that his house was a bit further than the rest of the kids, so he read a book while waiting. While he knew the name of his neighborhood, he didn't exactly know how the bus stop looked as he's never ridden the school bus before. After a couple of stops, the bus driver suddenly called out Pflugerville. Looking around, Christy realized he was the only one getting off that stop. He thanked the bus driver, exited the bus, and found himself alone at the bus stop. "Dad? Mom?" he called out. He didn't have a cell phone, so he decided to sit, thinking his parents were just late. After 30 minutes, his father still did not arrive. It was getting dark out, and it was cold. Christy started feeling scared and walked around the neighborhood, hoping to find his house. He ended up lost. While walking around, a dark figure suddenly appeared in front of him. He started crying even more, afraid that he was about to be taken somewhere scary. Meanwhile, his parents were waiting at the bus stop in the next town. The bus driver realized his mistake and admitted to the concerned parents that their son got dropped off in a different town as he accidentally called out the wrong location. The parents were angered at the bus driver's admission. They vowed to file a complaint at the school the next day. But at that moment, they were in a quick hurry to get to the next town to find their son. Unfortunately, when they got there, Christy was no longer at the bus stop. They drove around the neighborhood hoping to find him, but they couldn't. Christy's mom, Marissa, was in tears, afraid that someone could have abducted their son. Suddenly, she received a call from an unknown number. "Mom," Christy said. "Sweetheart, where are you?" "Dad and I have been looking for you," Marissa said, breathing a sigh of relief after hearing from her son. "I'm at Franklin. I'm in a dark, dirty room," but then the connection was cut off. Thinking someone indeed abducted her son, she decided to call the police. They traced the signal and went to the address where the call was made from. The parents found Christy at the shelter of a homeless man. When they arrived, they started threatening the man named Franklin. But as Tristan motioned to raise a hand at Franklin, Christy stood up. "Dad, Mom, why are you getting mad at him? You should be thanking him. If it weren't for Franklin, I'd be outside freezing in the cold, or worse, someone could have taken me," he said. Realizing they were quick to assume, Marissa and Tristan apologized. Franklin brushed off their worries and told him it was fine. Meanwhile, Christy was not done praising the kind Samaritan who saved him. "Using the money he had left, he bought me a sandwich instead of buying something for himself. He even gave me his blanket. When he found out I knew your number, he borrowed a phone from a passerby, but after talking to you for a bit, it got cut because the phone's battery died." Suddenly, Marissa found herself in tears for misjudging Franklin because of his appearance. She just felt so guilty losing her son earlier that she was also looking for someone to blame. She vowed to do something good for Franklin, and that's exactly what she did. That night, they treated Franklin to a delicious meal at a local Chinese restaurant. Franklin was overjoyed. "Thank you for this delicious meal. You really didn't have to do anything for me. I was glad to help Christy," he smiled. "Something could have happened to our son if you were not there to save him, Franklin. This is the least we can do," Tristan said while pouring Franklin another cup of tea. Marissa and Tristan were so grateful for what Franklin had done that they didn't want to stop at just treating him to dinner. They wanted to make sure that although Franklin was currently unemployed, he'd live comfortably. Tristan, employed by a large pharmaceutical firm, endeavored to secure a position for Franklin at one of their pharmacy branches. They ensured he had warm attire and meals as he acclimated to his new role. Eventually, Franklin's fortunes took a turn for the better. He transitioned from shelter living to renting a modest yet comfortable apartment. Flourishing as a security guard, he relished the opportunity to engage with diverse individuals in his workplace. Little did Franklin anticipate that a simple act of kindness would reshape his life profoundly. With a steady job, a cozy home, and a circle of supportive friends, all stemming from his decision to assist Christie, Franklin found himself in a remarkably improved circumstance.